So the Entomologist was added to the game less than a week ago, so I wanted to make this video kind of to demonstrate the best ways to use the Entomologist, how to use her most efficiently, how as a teammate to cooperate best with her abilities, and how to use her character most successfully within matches to secure a win. Okay, so when this match starts, you'll see that I head straight for the cipher, as I should. Always head straight for the cipher, waste no time. And I noticed that it is the photographer, so I'm going to go behind this wall and crouch and hide, so when he sets up the camera world, he's not going to be able to find my body. And you'll see over here, the doctor's doing the exact same thing. We've got the same idea, so he sets up the camera world over here, and we're already out of the way. So now you'll see that he ends up heading straight for the cipher that I'm at, and there is a portal to the camera world right next to this cipher. So what he's going to try and do is head straight through it and try and get Terror Shock on me, but I am also very aware of the fact that he could head through that little portal at any time, and so I'm ready for it. And so the second he comes through, I get right off the cipher and head in the opposite direction. And I've dropped my bees for the first time this match, and right there it did slow him down just a little bit, not a whole lot, so that wasn't a great use of the bees. But here you'll see a great use of her other ability, which is her vaulting buff. So any pallet, any window she vaults through, she has a 10% buff that she adds to that window or pallet permanently. So any other character that goes over that window now is also going to get a 10% buff. So if you pay attention a little later, the cowboy also ends up going through that same window when being chased. And so that 10% buff is added to his character as well, which in my opinion is the best thing that the Entomologist adds to this game. Vaulting buffs are such a huge benefit. One of my favorite things that any character can carry. I love the Postman because he can send that vaulting buff to characters for 10% permanently. So Postman and Entomologist together, if the Postman sends her that buff, she's got 20% vaulting buff on all these windows, so she's going to be an insane kiter at that point. And so here is the part where you'll see the photographer is now going to be chasing the cowboy, and he's going to make use of that window that I have now spread my honey on. Now, if I had dropped my bees, or if the photographer had not destroyed my bees earlier, at this point I'm now down, and I would be able to control my bees from the floor while crawling around, but I don't have my bees deployed, so I can't do that. However, if I did have my bees set up, now would be the time to control the bees and send them around the map. So I could send them through the door, I could block the hunter and slow him down and just leave them in that spot, or I could be pushing him around. I could try and push him at the door, get him away from the cowboy, which can be a great asset to the team. And now he's going to put me in the chair, and this is the other instance in which controlling the bees is plausible and reasonable and something you should be doing, which is when you're on the chair, use the bees to assist your own rescue. Don't try to use them to assist other people's rescue. Entomologist is a terrible rescuer. If you're on the chair yourself, what you should be doing is using the bees to push the hunter out of your way, so whoever comes to rescue you can get you out of the chair without having to take a hit first, which is what you'll see the coordinator does here. To rescue him, she has to take a hit, which is the infamous way of rescuing. That's how most people do it, is take the hit and get them out, and then rescue. With the Entomologist, you can push the hunter out of the way with the bees, and then someone can get you out. And so that's one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen people make when I play as Entomologist, is if I'm in the chair and I have my bees deployed and I'm trying to create a window of opportunity for someone to rescue me without having to take a hit, is often they will hesitate, they won't take that window of opportunity, they'll play it safe and try to take the hit before trying to get me out. And that is a waste of my bees, that is a waste of their own health, a waste of everyone's time really. And you can't really blame people for that because it is early and not a lot of people know how to work with the Entomologist or use her abilities or whatever it may be. But that is also the thing that people need to keep in mind, is that one of her biggest advantages is she is extremely easy to rescue because she can assist her own rescue. So if you're going to rescue the Entomologist, please keep in mind her swarm may be deployed and she may be able to help you make that rescue without having to take a hit. And then you can save that for another rescue. There's a lot of benefits and advantages to that, and that is one of the biggest ways to use Entomologist the right way. And so there is another place where you see me drop the bees while kiting. that is the #1 use of the bees, is to drop them behind you as you run somewhere. And you'll see again here, I use another window to vault through, and those are really the two big ways to use the Entomologist. Stick to windows and pallets, and drop bees as you go, which is really how I secure the win in this match. Is I'm sticking to areas with a lot of windows to vault through, and I'm dropping the bees whenever I feel like I need to. Try to be conservative with those bees because they do run out. And that's another reason you don't really want to always be controlling the bees, is because if you're pushing them around and controlling them, they run out of power a lot easier, and you're not going to get as much use out of the bees as you would if you just drop them and run. And you also don't have to waste time doing that. You can just drop them and keep going, and then you're not wasting time, you're containing the hunter. And if you're not being pursued and you're controlling the bees, that is time that you really should be decoding. Because she doesn't have a decoding debuff like a lot of kiters, and so she is one of the best decoding assets as far as kiting goes. That's probably something we'll see get nerfed in the future. There's a lot of things that I see potential in nerfing as far as this character. I think they might reduce the amount of usage in the bees. They may even reduce the percentage of the vaulting buff, which would make me very angry because that is the one thing that I love about her. There's a couple things that they might take away. Now, another thing about the Entomologist is because it's so early, a lot of hunters don't know whether they should pursue her or ignore her in the beginning of the match. Because there's a lot of kiters like Entomologist or Forward, or even rescuers like Mercenary, where if the hunter finds them first, they will not even bother trying to pursue them. They'll just go look for someone easier to catch, so they're not wasting their time. Now with Entomologist, I've seen it both ways. I've seen hunters ignore me and head for someone else, and I've seen hunters try and get me out of the way as soon as possible. And I'm not really sure where the general consensus is going to go at this point, because like I said, I've seen it go both ways, and there are benefits to both sides. If you want to pursue the Entomologist first and get her out of the way, that can be a great benefit to you as a hunter, because then she's not going to be able to use her bees late game. She's not going to be able to wait at the exit gate and send her bees to frustrate you and screw with you and help someone else get away. And that can be really helpful because Entomologist is really strong late game, because once she's at the door and she has nothing to lose, she can just send those bees willy-nilly and do whatever she wants, screw with you, make your life miserable. And that is something that you could want to get out of the way, because the Entomologist can be a big asset to the team. However, if you acknowledge that if she's controlling the bees early game, and that's going to slow down to the decoding, to you as a hunter, that is kind of a benefit, because if she's screwing with you, decoding isn't happening, so that's not really much of a worry. It kind of balances itself out. So the other way that things might go is the hunters might just ignore the Entomologist, because like you've seen this match, I had his attention pretty much the entire match. There was a lot of opportunities where there was just nothing he could do to catch me, and some of the few hits that he did get in on me were a lot of luck. So you can see that the Entomologist can be really frustrating for the hunter, so that is a big reason to leave her alone in the beginning of the match. But the thing about that is, also, if you get her chaired early game, she's going to be one of the easiest characters to rescue, because she can really assist her own rescue. It's frustrating to keep her chaired, and she can waste a lot of your time, even if you do manage to catch her, which is another reason I think she might be one of those characters that you're not going to want to pursue early game. So in summary, the things to remember about the Entomologist is 1, stick to kiting. You are a kiting character. You want to stay at pallets and windows so you can use that vaulting buff, and you want to drop the bees behind you as you go to slow down the hunter as you need to. Use the bees conservatively, you don't want to waste them. You do have a number of uses, but you also want to make sure you're placing them in ideal positions as you kite. Number 2, you don't want to control the bees and move them around unless you're incapacitated, you're in a chair and trying to assist your own rescue, or 3, someone is opening the exit gate, or the exit gate has already been opened and you're trying to assist your teammates. And lastly, if the Entomologist is chaired and you're rescuing and she has the bees deployed, make sure you are paying attention to what she's doing with the bees, because if you work together with the Entomologist on the chair, you can pull off a great rescue.